Hello again, Bernie Miklasz back with you. It's been one of those days, really busy. If you want to check out some of my other work today, you don't have to. I just appreciate that you're here watching on the YouTube channel, the Bernie Miklasz Show, even though I'm a little late getting this one up because I've been doing other things. But I'm part of the Gas House Gang at KMOX, which you can follow it on YouTube, Gas House Gang KMOX. Anyway, it's also available as a podcast, but I do that on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We stream it live at noon. So that's number one. I want you to check that out. Even if I'm not on it, doesn't matter. You know, it's good stuff. Also, my friends at Dealing the Cards was with them today, recording a video for their YouTube channel, which I recommend, Dealing the Cards. And, always a good time with them. So I did a Bob Uecker tribute earlier, and so after doing some other things, I'm also recording a podcast with another Cardinals podcaster, someone who has been doing good work with that for a long time, and I'll let you know about the information on that tomorrow. But so I'm a busy boy. Who said that older sports writers can't adapt? Right? I love talking. Writing's harder now. All right, I'll shut up now in terms of the preliminaries, but thanks for watching. You know, I wanted to talk to you about today is Ivan Herrera, or Ivan Herrera, however we say that. I'm really fired up about him, and I'm also concerned that the Cardinals won't play him as much as I think they should in 2025, and I hope that I'm wrong about that, but just some telltale stuff you've picked up from Ali Marmol, because they love Pages defensively, even though, let's face it, I think probably Pages is more advanced than Herrera at calling games. If you go look at the Statcast stuff, though, I mean, I'll just put it to you this way: Herrera's his blocking and framing metrics are good. So he's not a negative in those areas. And we all know that he's had a hard time throwing out base stealers. But then again, so his Pages. It's just that Herrera was worse. And frankly, Willson Contreras' throwout rate went down. And yet Contreras still throws the ball awfully hard. So why would all of a sudden, he was one of the best top 33% or so in catchers at throwing out base stealers, even under the new rules. So why all of a sudden did his caught stealing rate go down? I'm thinking a lot of this has to do with the pitchers and the lack of teaching and the lack of emphasis on holding runners on. I don't know that the pitchers care enough. I don't know that they work hard enough on it. And I'm just kind of tired of the constant scapegoating of young catchers or just catchers, the new catcher and Willson Contreras in 2023. All the pitchers, man, they couldn't wait to throw him under the bus because he's not Yachty. And Ali Marmol shamefully went along with it until the Cardinals realized they're being terribly unfair to Willson Contreras and, have treated him with respect since then. And Herrera, I even pick it up with some of you guys, some of the fans. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, but everyone wants to talk about his low throwout rate last year. It was really low. It was embarrassingly low, but that's the point. It was bad. Pages was better, but let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away here, okay? When you see all three catchers suffer in terms of their throwout rate, it isn't, gosh almighty, there's so much that goes into a nabbing a base stealer. It's not just the catcher. So the pitchers have a lot to do with this, and the way the manager and the pitching coach work these things have a lot to do with this. So I'm kind of burned out of hearing about it, because here's why. Okay. The Cardinals' big marketing pitch, and you're going to hear a lot about it in the winter warm-up this weekend. We're going to play the kids. We're going to play the youths. We're going to see what they can do. We'll hear a lot of that word that I am so burned out on. I'm so sick of hearing this word, because it's bad enough when it comes from John Mozeliak. Now you have people in the media parroting it. That word would be runway. Well, we're going to give them plenty of runway. We're going to give them lots of runway. And that's one of those words I wish I could ban when discussing Cardinals baseball, right? But I'm going to use it one more time for this special reason. It's like, I don't want to hear about you're committed to playing your young guys and giving them a lot of runway. Uh, I don't want to hear it unless you're fully committed to playing Ivan Herrera in most of the games that you're going to give to catchers next season. Because if you're not willing to do that, then you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth and you're not really committed to what you say to send a message to the fans. Oh, we're going to give them runway. Why in the world would they not give that to Ivan Herrera? And if you're going to say, well, Bernie, because he can't throw base stealers out. And he said, okay, well, all of a sudden you're worried about that, huh? Okay. Again, you want to look at the pitchers, you want to look at the manager, you want to look at the coaches, instruction, teaching. Herrera's been working really hard at improving his throwing this offseason, and he has made progress on his pop time working this offseason. So he's working really hard. But the point is, if this is about giving expanded opportunities to young guys, right? Herrera is still 24 years old. If you have concerns about his defense, this is the year that you have set aside to give young players all kinds of playing time, all kinds of opportunities to play. Number one, because you want to see what they can do. You want to see if they're people that you're going to build around going forward. And you also want to give them a chance to work on their flaws. And the only way you work on your flaws is by playing a lot. You can't do it in practice. You can't do it in simulated games. He's out of options anyway, Herrera, but, sending him to the minor leagues would be stupid. And this is a test case to me. He is a test case about the sincerity of the Cardinals' message to their fans. Well, this is about the young players. We just believe it's time to give them an opportunity. But why do I think Oli Marmol is got this thing about Pedro Pages? Well, my reason for this is because the way he talks about Pages, it's just a little bit over the top. And the other thing, and I'm sorry, this is kind of a fallout from 2023 when Marmol was among the very first to throw Contreras under the bus unfairly. After all, Marmol and Mozeliak were very excited about signing Contreras to a free agent contract. And like I always said, number one, why did they think he was going to be Yadier Molina or anything close? The Cardinals and the Cubs played a lot of games against each other. Contreras is catching against Cardinals a lot of time. So the front office, including Mo, so no one noticed that he had defensive flaws. But he shows up at spring training and they start playing real games, and he's like, "Oh my god, oh my gosh, oh my gosh!" They didn't know what they were signing, and they were backing the bus up on this guy early in 2023 because they're lazy pitchers. Sorry, no account, lazy pitchers wanted someone to blame for their own failures. I don't trust the people. After the way they treated that catcher. I don't trust the people, and I don't trust the people making decisions, because if Oli Marmol was so easily led by veteran pitchers who were whining about Contreras in 2023 because they didn't like their ERA where it is because they were awful, but they can't take responsibility. No, we got to blame it on this guy that came from the Cubs. He's not Yachty. Sorry. I'm going to say a word. I don't want to cuss. I do that enough. Sorry, no account. Sad guys. So I'm repeating myself and I apologize. But the reason why that still sticks with me, because I'm pretty sure I know what's going on. It's these veteran pitchers, at least the ones that are back. They're probably, hey, Skipper, we really like throwing the pies. We love Herrera. Don't get me wrong, Skip, but we really like pies. Okay, that's good. That's good. Once again, what does Herrera need more than anything? He needs to play. He needs to play a lot. He needs to play. He needs to be the everyday guy. He needs to. You can DH him some, right? I'm not saying he's got to play 140 games. I'm not saying that, but he's got to play a lot. He should not be the one doing most of the watching rather than doing most of the catching in 2025. He should be out there more than Pies. They both will play a lot. I just don't like when they make these predetermined decisions in their mind, because then what we're going to hear at the warm up, and then what we're going to hear when everybody reports the same to Jupiter for spring training, we're going to hear about, oh no, we have competition. It's everywhere. Oh, just wide open competition. What, like you're going to tell us Victor Scott's got a chance to beat out Ken Griffey Jr.? That would be Michael Ciani. Are you going to tell us that? Yeah, wide open competition. See me winking? Yeah, I got you. Anything you say, champ. So the reason why I'm honking for Herrera, I don't know why anybody wouldn't be, or anybody wouldn't agree with the premise. The only way he's going to improve defensively is by playing and playing and playing and playing and playing and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. He works. He's really matured now, and he wants to be great, and he wants to be the guy. And he's putting in everything he needs to put in this offseason. So the reason, though, is because they have a special hitter in him. And I know we're talking about smaller samples here. I get it. But it's the only thing we have to go on. But more than that, all the Statcast stuff, and I know to some of you, that's a dirty word that should never be spoken. All of the Statcast stuff in terms of his offense are really, really impressive. He hits the ball hard. He's got good bat speed. He's got an above average walk rate. He's got above average as in good strikeout rate. He's got he barrels the ball at a good percentage. He's been cutting down on his ground balls. He's got excellent metrics in terms of the sweet spot, connecting on the sweet spot. And if you look at where he is defensively, top 37% of catchers in blocks above average, top 38% in framing. His pop time is in the bottom 27, and his caught stealing above average is in the bottom 15%. We know where he needs to improve, but that bat is worth investing extra time in him so he can shore up his defensive weaknesses. That bat could be really special. And do you know why I say this? I got a lot of reasons, but I'm going to try not to talk too long here, because I did a search earlier this evening, and what I looked at was, all right, Ivan Herrera was 24 years old last season, and he had about 259 plate appearances. And in those 259 plate appearances, he hit 301. For all you batting average people, that's good, right? 301. Had a 372 on base percentage, which is very good because he takes walks, because he hits the ball so hard. A lot of guys, I'll look at their batting average and balls in play, say, well, there's some luck there. Not with the way the ball jumps off his bat. He can muscle it through the infield, and he can hit line drives that are going to kiss the grass in center field for hits. I don't think there's a lot of luck to his game. Herrera also slugged 428, which is good for a year where slugging percentage was down across baseball. He had an 800 OPS at age 24. And he was, according to weighted runs created plus, don't be afraid of the term. All it means is it's a hitting measure of hitting effectiveness based on league effects and ballpark effects. In other words, it neutralizes So some hitter that loads up at Coors Field where he puts up gaudy numbers, it sort of takes the steam out of that and makes it neutralizes it based on ballpark conditions and league conditions. And you get a truer sense of how good a guy was. Well, last year in 2024, the 24-year-old Herrera was 27% above average offensively based on weighted runs created plus, WRC plus, gobbledygook. That's really good. In fact, the only Cardinal that had a higher WRC plus gobbledygook was Willson Contreras. So Herrera's got some special gifts as a hitter. And that needs to be played. That needs to be in the lineup because, I don't know, call me crazy, my friends. But in 5 of the last 6 seasons, the Cardinals offense has been no better than 10th in the National League. No better than 10 out of 15 National Leagues teams at scoring runs per game. They've ranked 10th or worse in 5 of the last 6 seasons. They need offense, okay? And I don't know, part of it's talent, but part of it is not playing the right people. Or if you're going to have a youth movement, you have this guy who's got a live bat, just a live bat, man. When the ball comes off that bat, there's a noise it makes, right? And you want a better offense? Well, you get your talented hitters in there as much as possible. And let me give you some historical perspective because I did some research on this. So I went back during the expansion era, which began in 1961, and I wanted to compare Herrera's age 24 season as a hitter. Again, I know he got the defensive weaknesses. I knows this, okay? I also remember another guy that I wasn't around then, but I know a guy that one of the reasons he didn't get in the Hall of Fame for a very, very long time because he got this rep. That Ted Simmons, great, but he stinks. He stinks defensively. You really can't. He's awful. He's awful. And smarter people who came along later to kind of investigate this and who had more advanced stuff to work with to get a more comprehensive and meaningful opinion or evaluation of this said no, he was about a league average catcher defensively. He didn't hurt anybody. He wasn't great, but he wasn't as bad as his reputation is. See, that's those old timer sports writers. They didn't like that long hair, They didn't like that. They didn't like that hippie look. Well, you can't play him behind a play. He's horrible defensively. Didn't like that long hair. Anyway, I love Simba. So just keep that in mind because there's previous generations of sports writers and fans who would tell you Ted Simmons the worst defensive catcher in the history of the game, right? Thank God some smart people came along and made sure to get him in the Hall of Fame to make the case. Okay. Since 1961, the expansion year, I looked at age 24 seasons among Cardinals catchers that had at least 250 plate appearances in those seasons at age 24. The best weighted runs created plus figure, you're either below 100, above 100, or at 100, and 100 is average. The number one 24-year-old season offensively by a catcher is Ivan Herrera. 27% above league average last season. In Ted Simmons, his age 24 season in 1974, he was 13% above average offensively. But to show respect to Ted Simmons, a Hall of Famer, and by the way, I ain't saying Herrera's a Hall of Famer, okay? I ain't saying that, all right? Just saying he's a good hitter and he needs to play. But in fairness to Simba, when he was age 22, he was 24% above average offensively. Age 23, he was 22% above average. And then in 1974, he was 13% above average. So I'm showing you, Simmons proved it over those 3 seasons that he was an above average hitting catcher. Well, we came to know that in time. He was an excellent hitting catcher, but I'm talking about as he was breaking in, the way that Herrera is in effect breaking in now. But of all the guys that had at least 250 plate appearances in a season at 24 or younger, Herrera's had the best individual season under those parameters. He's got a lot to prove, yeah, but that's why he got to play. All right. So other above average hitting catchers at a young age for the Cardinals, Tim McCarver was one. In 1966, he was about 22% above average. So he's been in that above average category. And then in 1990, his first full season, I mean, we all knew Todd Zeile could hit, and he had a good season offensively, but the best one belongs to Ivan Herrera. And why wouldn't you want to invest playing time, a lot of playing time, in someone with this offensive capability when his early career numbers offensively parallel Ted Simmons? And in fact, as far as one individual season, 24 or less, Herrera's best season at age 24 or less was better offensively than Simba's best. Now, there is a difference in the sample sizes, freely acknowledged, okay? But this dude hits for average, he hits for power, he draws walks, he doesn't strike out a lot, he doesn't chase a lot. I was looking at this today, and the only pitches that really give him a lot of trouble, I'm talking about Ivan Herrera, and again, that's why he can play, so he can get better seeing all these pitches. The cutter gives him some problems, and the sweeper gives him some problems. But, he hit 293 against four-seam fastballs last season. His slugging percentage, I wish it would have been higher, but he was a competitive hitter. He hit 293 against that pitch. Against sinkers, 353 batting average, a 490 slugging percentage. Against sliders, my goodness, 357 batting average, 524 slug. Against changeups, they tried to say, "Oh, here's the kid. Throw him a changeup. He'll twist himself in knots." Changeups last year, Herrera hit 353 with an 824 slugging percentage. So other than me saying he struggled against a cutter, he didn't see a lot of sweepers, but a lot of young hitters especially struggle against the sweeper. The worst thing that I could say about him is that I wish we would have seen more slug against four-seam fastballs. But when you're hitting 293 and you're drawing walks, you're not going to condemn the guy or banish the guy because his slugging percentage against one pitch was lower than you would have liked to have seen it, right? And I think his expected slugging percentage was better than that. But that's not the point. Here's another thing before I start to wrap this up. Statcast's got a thing where they tell you who the most similar hitters are to a hitter that you're looking at. In my case, I was looking at Ivan Herrera. Well, and this is regardless of position, by the way. That Jarren Duran, excellent Boston outfielder, and they're talking about giving him a big contract early. He's the most similar hitter to Herrera. Another one that was similar in terms of the profile, William Contreras. Another one, Christian Yelich. On and on and on. So the performance he put up last year, the comps to that performance are very encouraging. And one other thing that I was looking at earlier, and let me go to my page here. Like, if you look at the last two seasons, okay, 23 and 24, there's one young catcher, again, no 24 years or younger in both of those seasons, right? There's one catcher that outperformed Herrera, and that is, I always mispronounce his name, Yerna Diaz in Houston, right? But he was 1 point better in terms of the weighted runs created plus metric. And the other thing is that even though Diaz over the last couple of years has slugged more than Herrera, Herrera's got a huge edge in on-base percentage and batting average. And my point being is that, Diaz is one of the most acclaimed young hitting catchers in baseball, and yet Herrera can hang with him in terms of comparing numbers. He was also better in the last 2 seasons among catchers 24 and younger. He was better than the much heralded Gabriel Moreno in Arizona, much better than Austin Wells, the Yankees young catcher, better than Francisco Alvarez, the Mets young catcher. We're talking about offense, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Logan Ohapi with the Angels, who hits the ball well. Over the last 2 seasons, Herrera's numbers are right with those guys or better than their numbers. Yeah, he got to work on the defense, which he is. But when you have a bat that's got this kind of potential, and you saw him last year, he was your second best hitter. Shouldn't that leave? And you stink offensively. Shouldn't that leave you saying more? We got to play him more. We got to see more. We want him to bat more at bats, more time, more swings, more walks, more singles and doubles, more homers, more. And maybe we'll actually try to coach him this year. Imagine that. But I don't know how to coach a catcher. What? I was never a catcher. This is the first year under the new regime that's coming in. They never had a catching instructor, not for a long. They didn't need to have one with Yachty. But it's like he retires, and you think these people would have had a clue, and you think they would have just had a few brain cells working, and they would have said, well, Contreras in Chicago, he was below average, but it's okay because of the bat. But we have a great instructor, so we'll have the instructor work with him. Oh, and then this Herrera kid that's coming up. Well, we have a great instructor that can help him improve. Oh, that's right. They didn't. Molina retires, and these people don't have the common sense to go out and hire a catching instructor who can work with the people that followed Yachty Molina, as if they're going to be able to compare to him, right? Like they don't need any work. Well, Yachty never needed any instructions. Couldn't you hear Mo saying that? Well, Yachty, we never had to worry about instructors. Well, yeah, you're right, but it's all more the reason that you had to hire one after he retired. So listen, man, I'm sure I'm going to get comments. You're going to be trashing him defensively and all that stuff. Just like they were with Ted Simmons back in the day. And if you do that, you're missing the point. If this is the year of the youth movement, right? We've got plenty of runway for all these young players. This is a guy you got to give a lot of runway to if you're actually going to give you mean what you say and you're not fibbing, okay? Because you don't let a bat like this sit on the bench, and you got to make him better by instruction and coaching, and your pitchers giving a damn about holding runners on first base. Maybe the dugout could be awake with this stuff, and you give him a chance to work on his issues defensively. Just the way it's kind of been done with smart organization since back in the olden days. I can't wait till 2026, but I want to see a lot of Herrera in 2025. All right, I'll shut up now. Thank you for watching.